Welcome to another ProFootballDoc Sports Injury Central podcast. This is our last guest segment of the year before football season because we have so many injuries and issues to discuss during the season. We really don't have time. So we wanted to end with a big one. And no better person than NFL MVP Rich Gannon, CBS analyst, SiriusXM host, do-it-all guy, and proud to say friend. Rich Gannon, welcome to the show.
Doc, it is so good to be with you. I know that, like myself, you're really looking forward to the start of the regular season. Some injuries in the preseason, but not as many as we used to see with most of the veterans sitting out these preseason games.
Yeah, I mean, injuries, whether it's in practice or in games, look, any team who can get through the preseason without a significant injury is a win. And about half the teams are able to do that, and the other half end up with something. But let's chat. First of all, Rich, thanks for coming on. And for once I get to turn the tables. You're usually interviewing me, and that's probably the better way to do it because I don't know that I'm a good host or you're, maybe a better guest, I hope, than an interviewer. But Rich, first of all, I don't know if you realize this. You probably do. Do you feel like I stalk you? Because throughout your career, we have crossed paths a ton. Starting with, my first gig was actually in Minnesota right after you were leaving, where you were a starting quarterback. And then, the career goes on. And of course, through your MVP years at Oakland and Super Bowl, 37 against Tampa, where I was the host team physician in San Diego, to, crossing paths at Oakland again. Norv Turner was your coach, and Norv Turner's invested in Sports Injury Central, Six Score, to Sirius. And now, and to tell people, I'm actually going to join you some on your segments during this season for your activities, and looking forward to some of those videos as well. So are you tired of seeing me? Do I feel like I'm stalking you everywhere you go?
You know what, Doc? I would say this. For so long, we were on opposite sidelines. You know what I mean? You were over there on the Chargers bench. I was on the Raiders sidelines, and now we're teammates, which is kind of fun. We've come full circle. But I have great respect for your body of work, and even more respect for what you're doing now. I just think that it's cutting edge. There's no one out there that's doing what you're doing, and I think you're really providing a service, for people, for everyone, for people like me who are broadcasting games and for talking about it on the radio and television, for people out there in fantasy football, for people who are placing wagers on the game. People want to know what's going on, and your ability to get out in front of it is second to none.
Yeah, and, as we talked, it's something I sort of just fell into because I studied. Everyone in a football building looked at video on Monday, and I was the only guy at the time who wasn't, right? What's a doctor got to look at video for? And so, so after seeing a guy on the field, on the sideline, in the locker room, the next day after an MRI, I usually had about 45 minutes before a meeting with the GM. So the video boys were nice, and I was doing it. Why? Because everyone in the building was doing it. I felt like I should. There were occasions where a player would say, I'm not sure what happened. Let me look at the film. And there, I knew the answer to the question. I knew what the diagnosis was. This isn't guessing. And obviously what I do now is not diagnosing because I'm not treating. It's just injury analysis, just like you give quarterback or football analysis. I'm not in the building. But there, I knew the answer. And then the question was the video. Now I don't know the answer, and I just see the video. So it's 17 years of video study.
We spend thousands of hours as players watching film and tape and trying to get an edge. And I think as a surgeon, you spend some time. You've been in the operating room for so long that I think there's a real benefit to going back and looking at the actual play involved. Looking at, whether it's an acceleration or deceleration type of a situation, looking at a knee that gets twisted. And for you to have done that and looked at that tape over and over again, I think it's a benefit prior to going into the operating room. And I think it gives you a real advantage over some doctors that haven't taken the time to really learn how to watch and study film so that you can have a good sense of what you're going to see once you open up, a shoulder or a knee, for example.
Well, Rich, you've had a long and storied football career, really multiple careers, right? With the Vikings and then Chiefs, and then obviously, as Taylor, my main assistant, will say, Raider great. I mean, everyone's a Raider great to him. I mean, Coach Turner's a Raider great. Forget Cowboys great. He's a Raider great.
You got to play one game. That's the rules.
Yeah, I mean, he's crazy. But anyways, but for that vertebral fracture at the age of 38, could you or would you have played at the age of 45 like Tom?
I would have tried. I was really in good shape. I was 39 years old when my career ended, and I felt like I was in as good a shape as I'd ever been. I think you learn, Doc, the longer you're in the business, how to train, right? How to train effectively, efficiently, how to maintain your conditioning through training camp. I tell a lot of young players, you go to training camp, you get out of shape. You're standing around, you're not playing in the preseason games. If you're a veteran player, you're not getting as many reps. You have special teams periods, you have walkthroughs. And so I learned to really make sure that when I came out of training camp, I was in, the peak condition. I think you learn to train year round. I think you learn to train smart. And I think if you look at Tom Brady, he's 45 years old. Now think about it. He led the National Football League last year in pass attempts, completions, yards. He was finished second, a close second, by the way, to Aaron Rodgers in the MVP voting, and he's 45 years old. I mean, and he was just voted the number one player by the players in the National Football League, heading into the 2022 season. And he's 45. I mean, and you watch him throw the football now, as compared to, say, even 5, 6, 7 years ago, I don't see any difference in terms of velocity. I mean, here's a guy that's taken amazingly good care of himself.
Yeah, and this is not George Blanda at the age of 45 playing quarterback. I mean, this is a whole different thing. But the one thing I would probably point out, and I had forgotten about this, but the boys did some research, and, I don't know, I guess I'm lazy. I don't think I need to do any research for you, but you were drafted, and you were probably way ahead of your time. I mean, you came in the league at a time of pocket quarterbacks, yet there was talk of you were a punter. There was talk you were going to be a running back or wide receiver. You were ahead of your time as a quarterback in terms of being an athlete. How would your career be different today if you came into the league versus when you did?
It's a great question. I think, I was pretty mobile. I played in an offense in college. It was a Delaware wing tee that really featured, the quarterback, to be able to run the option and to do different things. And so I was probably further along athletically than I was mentally, just in terms of, learning the offense. I came from a very basic, very vanilla program in terms of offensive scheme. We didn't, throw the ball very much. So I didn't really have a great understanding of protections and concepts and fronts and coverages from a defensive standpoint. So I had a lot to learn just before I could really get on the field. I felt like physically I was ready to go. I could compete with anybody, but I felt like, mentally there was a learning curve. And I think that's the case for a lot of young quarterbacks, Doc. We have a lot of quarterbacks last year. Trevor Lawrence was the number one pick in the league a year ago out of Clemson, had an amazing college career. And last year he really struggled. I think the team wasn't good. The Urban Meyer situation wasn't good for him, but you can just see the game was going way too fast. You look at Justin Fields in Chicago, some young quarterbacks that it takes a while. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of patience as, NFL teams. We draft them. We want to play them right away before they're ready to play. And I think we'll see that again this year. We've got some young quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett's probably going to play sooner than later when you look at the situation in Pittsburgh. And Mitchell Trubisky will probably start week one, but we get it. There's a sense of urgency to put them out there, and unfortunately, a lot of times before they're ready.
Yeah, and you didn't even mention San Francisco. I mean, moving Jimmy G on Trey Lance. They say it's time. They invested the 3 first-round picks. It's time to go. There's no waiting around, and really the magic, right, is to win on the first contract. That adds to the pressure because in terms of the salary cap. When you're on the first contract, you're able to get them at a discount and spend more money elsewhere. So there definitely is a lot of pressure there. No question. So tell me about that Super Bowl in San Diego. Was it just as simple as Gruden knew what the offense was, or was there more to it?
No, it's never one thing, right? I think you go back to, it was the last Super Bowl that was ever played where we had a 1 week turnaround. So, we played the AFC Championship game on Sunday night. We jumped on a plane Monday and we flew to San Diego, and we really lost 2 days of preparation. So we lost the travel day on Monday, and then Tuesday we had media day, and that takes up, most of the day. And so I just felt like the whole week we were scrambling to get caught up, even watching tape and breaking down an opponent that we weren't very familiar with, having, been in the AFC and the Buccaneers being in the NFC. The other part of it was we're an older team, right? We had a lot of older players, and we did not do well with the short turnaround. That combined with the fact that I think we didn't take into consideration John Gruden's involvement as much as we should have from a defensive standpoint. So he was very involved that week in preparing the defense. He actually ran the scout team on Friday prior to the game, and really talked about a lot of the code words and the checks and some of the things that we did at the line of scrimmage. And so in the first quarter, it was really apparent that a lot of our at the line of scrimmage offense was negated because I would call out a code word, and Derek Brooks would be pointing to here, run here. So that threw us off a little bit. And then we talked all week about running the football against that defense. They were smaller, they were quicker, they were faster. We were a bigger group up front with guys like Lincoln Kennedy and Mo Collins and Barrett Robbins, who didn't play in the game. That was another story in and of itself. Our starting center, who was an All-Pro center that year, went missing. He was in Mexico. He was not physically able to play in the game. And
that's the quarterback of your offensive line, right?
That was a big loss. But again, and then, we didn't run the ball well. We got behind. We started throwing the ball. We started taking risk. We turned the ball over. I made some poor decisions. And next thing you know, you're playing from behind in a game like that. And momentum in a big game like that is so important. And then I would say, the turnovers in a game like that are magnified because when you turn the ball over in a Super Bowl, you're turning it over against an offense that can capitalize. You're turning it over against, a team that's got a good defense. You're turning it over against good offensive coaches and play callers. So, that was certainly a part of it. I think we got out-coached, we got outplayed, we out-executed. And that's how you lose a game like that. And unfortunately, you always think you're going to get back, right? But we were an older team, and a lot of those players that played in Super Bowl 37 weren't with us the following season.
Yeah, and so in some ways, that Super Bowl was the ultimate legal Spygate, right? I mean, Gruden knew what was going to happen there. But you guys probably, I don't know, let me tell you how you feel about this. You say you never got back. You thought you would get back, but many would argue you should have gotten there a year earlier.
Oh,
right?
Sure.
You were the opposing quarterback on the tuck rule. The tuck rule. Your thoughts on that and the whole thing?
Obviously ESPN and NFL Films did a big show on it, and it's been a well-documented part of NFL history. I think when you look at really how it transformed two teams, right? Now think about this. Brady and Belichick, they win that game and they go on to win the Super Bowl, the first of many. And we go back to Oakland and Al Davis trades away John Gruden. Now, as much as I value Al Davis and his legacy and his history as a great owner, that was one of the worst decisions he ever made because we were a team that was really trending in the right direction. We had won 3 straight AFC West titles, went to a couple AFC championship games, we go to a Super Bowl, and then, we trade away, our coach. And so, and then ironically, he goes to Tampa and they win the Super Bowl. So that was a bad decision. But, when you go look at the play in and of itself, obviously I talked to Brady the following week at the Super Bowl, at the Pro Bowl, and clearly we were blitzing from his right. He didn't see it. He was a young quarterback, an experienced quarterback. And his instincts, he turned to his left to try and throw the ball quickly. And we were bringing a blitz on the one side and we dropped in zone on the other side. And so there was nowhere to throw it. So he tried to stop his throwing motion. And as he stopped his throwing motion, Charles Woodson hit him. The ball went on the ground and Greg Beekert fell on it. And we thought the game was over. But, Doc, the way I look at that, when I go back and look at it, any loss we ever had when I was a starting quarterback, I always went back and looked at what could we have done differently. And when you go back and look at the final drive offensively the Raiders had in that game, The Patriots never should have gotten back on the field offensively. We had 2 or 3 chances to end the game, and we just didn't do it. We blocked 2 runs in one drive incorrectly, and that really cost us an opportunity to maintain possession of the football so that the Patriots never would have gotten back on the field.
Yeah, I mean, that rule is crazy. And for years, I would say, look, it was in theory the correct ruling, although it doesn't seem right? So once you start forward, doesn't matter the direction of the ball, as long as it doesn't touch your body or the other hand, it's still considered a forward pass. Now, as a fan, and look, I kept quiet on this with the Chargers. I promise you, when Marty Schottenheimer was the coach, I wasn't telling him this. That's another overlap that we have. But with the tuck rule before they changed it, why couldn't a quarterback drop back and his first motion is to pump fake and keep only one hand on the ball and continue to wave the ball? And if you do that, you're basically extending the tuck rule continuously. And there's no such thing as a strip sack fumble anymore, because anytime you get hit, you just let go of the ball. You just never put your opposite hand on the ball. Just wave the ball. Why wouldn't someone have done that?
Well, there's certain interpretations of the rule, right? I think when a quarterback clearly pulls the ball down and stops the throwing motion, and I think a certain period of time evolves where he's moving or scrambling or resetting, and then the ball is stripped out. I think when you go back and look at it, and I think in the spirit of the rule, I think clearly, Brady, and again, if you talk to Tom, he would tell you this, that, he got fooled. I mean, and he pulled the ball down. He had no intention to, it wasn't like he was just stopping the throwing motion. He pulled it down, and he's paused for a split second, and then that's when the hit happened. So, I think a lot of us, no one that I'm aware of was familiar with the tuck rule. And, I think our sidelines was stunned. John Gruden went ballistic, and so did Al Davis. But, it's happened sometimes, and we always talk about it. Don't give the officials a chance, to impact the outcome of the game. And we did that. We had an opportunity to put that game away, and we didn't do it.
Well, that's what I would expect you to say, right? You always take responsibility. So this football season, you're the final guest. We're kicking off the football season. Yeah, we're going to launch some new things at Sports Injury Central. What are some of your big takes? Is Josh Allen the MVP? Is Tua going to break out? What are some of your big thoughts and takes coming into? I
would say a couple things. I think we've got 10 new coaches, Doc. Think about that. Last year was 7. This year it's 10. I mean, there's a dysfunctional cycle going on. These owners are just very impatient, and they just if it's not going the way they want, they just fire these guys, even if they have guaranteed contracts. We have 10 new coaches. We have a number of new quarterbacks. Some quarterbacks have changed teams. You look at Matt Ryan; he's now in Indianapolis. We've got Marcus Mariota took his place in Atlanta. We've got a couple of young quarterbacks that have new head coaches and coordinators. Trevor Lawrence, for the second straight season, as a new coordinator. You mentioned Tua, Doc, down in Miami. This is his 3rd season. This is his 4th different play caller. Now think about that. So you're constantly having to learn a new terminology, new system, new verbiage, new footwork. That'll be interesting. They've really surrounded him. They obviously made the trade for Tyreek Hill. They went ahead and added a couple of running backs, a Pro Bowl left tackle. So they're going to be better around him, and there are no more excuses for Tua. He has to play better. You mentioned Josh Allen. I think he's one of the premier quarterbacks in the National Football League, which is interesting. His first year, he completed 52% of his passes. Everyone said the guy's not very accurate. That second year went to 59. His third year went to 68. And this guy has steadily improved his footwork, his accuracy, his decision-making. But he lost Brian Daboll, his offensive coordinator. So there's a change even there in Buffalo. But I think you look at the AFC West, and Doc, you and I were part of the AFC West for a long time. I mean, think about if you're a defensive coordinator in the AFC West, good luck. You got Justin Herbert in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Russell Wilson now is in Denver. You got Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City and Derek Carr in Las Vegas. I mean, if you want to see fireworks and great offense, look no further. To me, though, the biggest question I have is who's going to win that division. I think a lot of these teams are going to be around 500 at Thanksgiving. I think because they have to play each other twice. I think it's going to be a very interesting division to watch, that AFC West.
No question. I want to run one thing by you before I let you go, because I really value your brain. You always think next level. We're working on a story here, and don't get me wrong. I think Tua's great. He's a great quarterback. He's the number one pick, the first round pick, the whole deal. But I think he has, tell me if you like this theory or not, a higher barrier to be Patrick Mahomes great. He's naturally a right-handed guy. His dad made him throw left-handed. He writes right-handed. He eats right-handed. He bowls right-handed, but he throws a baseball and football left-handed. Mm-hmm. As a pitcher in baseball, if you're a right-hander, you can be a left-handed pitcher because it's a static throwing motion from a fixed position. But the position of quarterback is dynamic, be it on the move, change arm angles and other things. And medically, you're wired left brain if you're right-handed and right brain if you're left-handed. And so he's right-brained, but he's left-handed, rely on his right brain. I'm not saying he can't be great and with people around him, but do you take any thought that it's a higher barrier for an off-handed guy? Yeah, there's no question he can throw. He's got a great arm. He can do it all. But the split-second decision-making when your right and left brain is opposite, do you think I'm crazy to think that makes it a higher barrier for him to be elite? Or do you think there may be something there?
I think it's dangerous when we start comparing players like Tua to Patrick Mahomes. I just do. I mean, we're talking about an elite player at his position in Mahomes. He's been an NFL MVP. He's been a Super Bowl MVP. He has what I would call unusual arm talent. And I think Tua is simply not ever going to get there. He doesn't possess that type of rifle, that type of range. There's not an area of the field that's a weakness for Patrick Mahomes. Where you look at Tua, Doc, he doesn't really drive the ball as well as you like when he's throwing the ball deep outside the numbers. He's more of a touch passer. He's never going to overpower you with his arm talent. I think he's a guy that has to rely on his anticipation, his accuracy, his footwork. I did one of his games just a couple of weeks ago, and of course I've done a number of his games. My concern with him, he had that significant injury coming out of college. He missed some time early in his career, and then last year he missed 4 games with some rib injury. I'm just curious, can he stay on the field? He's not the biggest guy. I don't see the mobility that I once saw from him when he was at Alabama. I think he's a little bit hesitant to use his legs as much as he probably should. He doesn't have the pocket awareness like a Patrick Mahomes. That being said, the guy's a winner. I mean, he's got a lot of the qualities and the characteristics you love at that position. He's tough. He's competitive. I think he's a smart kid. I think he's a guy that, is a good leader. But I want to see more from him this year. I want to see him be able to put this team on its back in critical times. I want to see him play better situationally on third down in the red zone, late in games. So there are no more excuses for Tua in year 3. They really went out and added some weapons for him offensively. And I'm very curious to see the amount of improvement we can see from him in year 3. It's an important year for Tua.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him, right? And I hope he does well. And I wasn't trying to denigrate him, but I don't know. Medically, right brain, left brain, and other things. To me, the reaction split second. The game is. I mean, Rich Gannon MVP is this much different than the next guy, right? You just when things go right, you're the MVP, and the line is very small between one guy and another, or out of the league or in the league. A
lot of it, Doc, as you know, it's about consistency. It's about consistency week in and week out. And the great ones, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, I mean, what you're going to get from them every week. Even on an off week, they still put their team in a position to have a chance to win.
Well, Rich, we know we get from you every week and every time on and off the field, and now with your analyst stuff, we're going to let you go. We could talk a lot longer, but I know you've got other media commitments in your own show to do. So thank you very much. Any parting words or anything?
Doc, I'm so looking forward to being with you. I appreciate all you do, and you know me. I follow you very closely on Twitter all the time. I'm following, and if you don't put it out, I'm hitting you up on a text asking where the information is. You know me. I don't have a lot of patience, but you're on top of it, my man. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you. The great Rich Gannon, NFL MVP, and more. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back with the regular Sports Injury Central Pro Football Doc segments after this. All right, let's continue with the Pro Football Doc Sports Injury Central podcast. That was pretty cool to have Rich Gannon on, huh? Jacob's here, Taylor, Justin, etc. And for the most part, Taylor kept quiet. For the most part, he couldn't help himself.
I couldn't. No, I tried, but
At least Rich Gannon is a Raider great.
Yes.
I mean, you like a cup of coffee. Oh, yeah. Raider great. I mean, whatever.
No, Antonio Brown, not Raider great. Play one game, Raider great. It's a weird threshold, I know.
But the one thing I learned, maybe the other reason that look, Rich is just a great guy. I don't know. We just keep running each other, but it sounds like he stalks me as much as I stalked him.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, that's surprising. We both do.
On Twitter, his comment.
It's a match made in heaven.
Just joking.
You guys
just
both have
joking.
notifications on them, both of you guys. So
yeah, I'm just joking around. No, he's a good guy, and you can tell he's a very smart guy. And,
yes,
and look, very honest. It's like I came in the league and I didn't know how to read defenses. I didn't play that in college, but who would have thought he was the original, for lack of a better word, Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson or whatever, right? I mean, the athletic quarterback. Anyways, all right, what do we got for the rest of the podcast here? Surprise me. What do you want to talk about?
I hate to start off on this note, but it's the talk of the NFL world right now, the Brian Robinson situation. Attempted carjacking, got shot twice, and once in the glute, once in the lower leg. That just came out today.
Well, as the article at Sports Injury Central talks about, first of all, I mean, boy, he's really lucky, right?
Yeah, right.
That's kind of cool. I mean, and this seems to be clearly one of those, oh my God, horrific innocent bystander. This is no different. Different because he's, quote, going to be okay than Sean Taylor, right? Innocent,
right. Yes.
Another Washington football player. But anyways, as far as the injuries go, when it comes to gunshots, and by the way, look, I don't work at a trauma center and so forth, but I do have experience with this. If you look it up, the Chargers drafted a safety, Terrence Keel. And before he reported to us, he was, I believe, shot in a mall in Houston. And so the team had me, can you call and figure out what he's got and whatever. So it's not unprecedented. And of course there's, Plexico Burris, whatever. This criminal activity, carjacking, robbery, whatever it was, here's the deal. You don't ever want to be shot. But if you are going to get shot, assuming it's not machine gun or rifle that's penetrating you, the glute is not a bad place to get shot. That's about the meatiest part of anyone's body, and muscles hard and tough, and that would stop a bullet. And the good news is the worry about any gunshot wound is, okay, of course, vital organs. Well, in your glute, there's none, but arteries and nerves. The artery nerves in the glute and the hip are very deep, not really near that area at all. So if you're going to pick a place to be shot, that's a good place to be shot. So hopefully it turns out to be the case. I know he had surgery. And believe it or not, you don't always have to do surgery to dig the bullet out unless it's like near an artery or nerve or something where it might migrate somewhere. And then the leg, obviously more nonspecific, couple more nerves down there. You're not going to have a fracture in your glute. You might have a fracture of the fibula, probably not tibia, but depends on where he was shot, right, in the leg. But here's the thing. At this point, with very little knowledge of the specifics, it's not the end of his career, which is great, right? Well, first of all, it's not the end of his life. That's the most important thing.
Right.
It's not the end of his career, I don't believe. It's a matter of when he returns, not if. Now, that when isn't going to be early season, right? Because even in the best case scenario, it didn't hit anything. He's got to rehab and get back into shape. So, I mean, can we keep our fingers crossed and hope mid-season? Maybe. So, I mean, it's just a crazy set of circumstances.
Yeah, well, it's great to hear. I mean, the news came out first. You just see stable condition and non-life threatening, and that's kind of how the police feed info to journalists and stuff. So it makes it seem more serious than it is. So it's good to hear that it was just, hopefully just a flesh wound, just simple surgery, take it out or repair whatever needed to get repaired.
Yeah, and hopefully that's it, because it is a serious topic, and hopefully then I know Taylor's chomping at the bit to bring up his Reddit conspiracy theories, aren't you?
Oh yeah, about like Tom Brady did. Yeah, with the Masked Singer. Yeah, I have a lot of different theories.
No, I meant like Antonio Gibson, or as people did that to get his job back. Because I know you casually mentioned it. You're chomping at the bit to go there.
I was telling you other sports stories that kind of do stuff like that. I mean, the weird thing was, as Robinson just got the starting job that day. So, I mean, obviously the conspiracy theories are going to lead to that, but they probably shouldn't. But I have a weird brain, so
you're full of those.
Yes.
I mean, this is not Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan,
No.
I mean,
well,
whatever.
preseason wrapped up, so we got to have something to talk about. That's where the conspiracy theories come from.
Too much empty air right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of another conspiracy theory, I've had several plastic surgery people and cosmetic specialists say, what do you know about Tom Brady and how he looks now and after his 11 days?
Yeah.
We'll work on that. But
he looks odd. That's kind of funny you said that. I just didn't know what the oddity of it is, but I think you're maybe onto something.
We'll see.
Like you said.
If we get a cosmetic specialist or plastic surgeon to go on the record, then we'll go on there. That's not my area, but is it fillers? Did he get a peel? I don't know. He's entitled. Like, the guy doesn't look 45, does he? I mean, can that all be avocado ice cream? I mean,
for marketing, yes, but real probably not. Yeah.
and I get ads, but this was a press conference.
Right,
was it funny lighting? I mean, this is not. I mean, the
all the lights are on. It's
the media that were there weren't airbrushing pictures, right? I mean,
right.
Ads I get, but.
His attire was weird too. It looked like it was like overblown. Like, looked like he was wearing Giselle's hoodie. Like, she was like, I don't really know. It was very, I don't know. It was an odd appearance.
Leave poor Tom alone. We already hammered him last week about Giselle. No, Tom's great.
Yes,
but here's the thing. I mean, I look at it as everyone wants stuff to talk about, and look, more power to him. He's back. He's rejuvenated. I'm not mad at him. I mean, but I loved his quote. I mean, that should be my mantra.
Yeah.
He said, I'm 45. What did he say?
Yeah, I'm 45. There's shit going on all the time.
There's a lot of shit to take care of going on. Yeah.
It's a true statement, right? Very true statement.
Yeah. So I love that authenticity in Tom. All right. What else we got? Real stuff.
Yeah, we got articles up on the website on all the latest preseason injuries. I think TJ Watt is a big one. People are tracking Najee Harris today as well. TJ Watt, interesting that they came up 2 weeks in a row. I mean, we had the Thibodeau cut block, and then TJ Watt's taken out by Hawkinson. Hawkinson looked apologetic. I mean, it's a run play. It's chaos at the line, right?
Yeah, and first of all, you bring up the stuff at the site, and yes, the fantasy toolkit I think is among the best things. Click on that. Mm-hmm. It's all free. There's never been a paywall, but there's no registration wall.
Right.
Check it out and be prepared for your. I mean, this is the heat of the season for fantasy drafts
Absolutely.
right now. So on first of all, TJ Watt. I know you guys preseason. We're still finishing up summer, and you guys texted me all that stuff when we looked at it. But immediately, thankfully, it looks like it's coming true. It's not major, and boy, what a difference a week makes. Last week, the narrative was, that's an illegal block. Kayvon Thibodeau, that could end his career. That was terrible, illegal block. And this week, I said immediately, right? I mean, similar to Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, TJ Watt took it in the other leg, the other way. He's not seriously hurt. Maybe a mild MCL. Reasonable chance to play week 1. Don't know for sure yet. And then we'll roll into the Mike Tomlin stuff. But Tomlin says, no big deal. He could have kept playing.
He isn't worried, is what he said.
He's not worried.
Yeah.
Look, the injury's real. I'm not sure that he would have played. I mean, of course, if it were a regular season game, TJ Watt might have tried. I'm not sure how effectively. I think he sprained his MCL. I don't think this is nothing. But I think we're all in agreement that that's not an illegal block.
Right.
And I saw Cam Hayward say, I know that's not illegal, but it should be. Right? Okay, that's a fair
Just
statement.
angry because his guy got hurt.
That's a fair statement.
Right.
I mean, defensive guys have to say, you take care of all the offensive players. What about me?
Right.
And I get that. But, at least we settled last week's big question. Is that illegal? Right now, it is not illegal. Should it be? That's a different question.
Right.
But let's talk about the Steelers. And look, Steeler Nation, I love how passionate the fans are. I've told you guys before, one of my favorite things is it's no longer Heinz Field, whatever the new thing is, the stick song,
Yep.
the Renegade, the start of the fourth quarter. One of the best traditions, love it, the whole deal. Mike Tomlin, unbelievable, great coach. But coach speak, okay? He's now saying he's not worried about TJ Watt. He basically doesn't have anything. What did he say about Najee Harris?
He got stepped on.
And was emphatic that he got stepped on.
Don't worry about it. You got
Said
stepped
not a big deal. He got stepped on.
Yep.
Happens
And
all the time.
Najee Harris, what did he say yesterday?
Said after the game that he felt rusty and that he's been dealing with a Lisfranc sprain. So
He said, I heard about people saying it stepped on toe, but it was not a stepped on toe.
if you get stepped on by a lineman, you don't get a Lisfranc?
No.
No amount of stepping on?
Stepping
clarify.
on is not Lisfranc.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Mike Tomlin knows what he's doing. I'm not calling him a liar. Look, it's spin. It's coach speak. He didn't want to get Steelers Nation up and uproar. Lisfranc, imagine the headlines. What's going to happen to Najee Harris? Lisfranc, oh my God, surgery. But there's different degrees and levels of Lisfrancs. Najee Harris obviously took some preseason snaps. He said he felt rusty. He didn't look too bad.
4 carries, 10 yards. Yeah.
He hurdled someone, so
Yeah.
Look, is he 100% no? But if this was an unstable Lisfranc, they wouldn't have put him in there. They couldn't have.
Right. Yeah.
So the fact they put him in a preseason game, we're not changing his 6 score, but coach speak. And I just chuckle, right? I
have one nugget on that. Beat reporter Mark Caboli just went on the Pat McAfee show, and he said he's probably going to get called to Tomlin's office now because Tomlin apparently hates when anybody on his team talks about injuries. So he said the fact that Najee said that he's probably going to get called to the principal's office to go talk about that.
Najee or Mark Caboli?
Oh, no, Najee Harris is.
maybe
Najee
both.
Harris, yeah. Maybe both now, as Caboli said it. But yeah, apparently, Tomlin hates when anyone talks about injury stuff. So if Najee did that without anybody telling him to, he's going to get
it deflates his coach speak. He wants to be the final word on injuries.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to get to that. The fact that you can defend. I got out. It slipped. I said I had a Lisfranc. I got asked. I didn't remember what you said, Coach. But he specifically said,
I didn't get stepped on.
I did not get stepped on.
Yeah.
So basically, Tomlin's comments registered with him, and he was feeling the flack from others saying, WTF, you got stepped on. Get back out there.
Yeah.
Right? And remember, this is what I said about some athletes. Mitch Schwartz was the most recent example where I said, they actually like it when we do what we do because now we didn't have video to say it was a Lisfranc, it's a preseason, etc. But basically that's him saying, get off my case. I'm not soft. My foot wasn't just stepped on. I had a Lisfranc.
Is that him being young? Like, is that an older veteran player might not have said that? Or is anybody getting flack was going to defend themselves eventually?
It depends.
Okay.
I could see it going a lot of different ways. A younger player maybe just says it out of reaction.
Right.
A younger player maybe is too scared to go against his head coach. A veteran might not be afraid right out to say it, but a veteran might leak it to other sources to come out and say, I didn't say anything, coach. I don't know where that came from, but
somehow they got it. I don't know.
Somehow they got it, and you confirmed it. Well, you want me to lie? I can't lie. That's not me, So there's different ways to handle that.
Play the game, yeah.
It's all in good fun, and it's coach speak. You know what? What do you think, Jacob? Should we do an article? And I'll have to compile. I have some in my head.
You got a top 5.
The 3 or 5 biggest coach speakers in the league, and maybe the 3 or 5 most straightforward in the league. I won't say his name because I don't have permission from him. But I told the head coach once, you don't lie. And he goes, nope. I said, but I know what you do. This is fairly recently, a head coach in the league. And I said, I know what you do. He said, what's that? So after a game, you talk to the press and you say, I don't know. I don't know what happened to him. We'll find out. We'll let you know. And you're honest. You don't know. Because you just make a point of avoiding the head athletic trainer and doctor till after the press conference post-game. And he said, yep. So I was like, okay. So I'm not going to throw the coach under the bus of that, but like, I mean,
that's
like,
my favorite move though. I think that's super smart because like you're not. I mean, you don't know.
That knowledge isn't in his head. It's
yeah,
not a lie.
I think that's what if I was to do anything, that's what I would do.
I almost said his name. It just came out natural conversation.
I've been biting my tongue, so yeah.
Look.
But I do want that article just to keep track because I'm going to be referring back to it as like, okay, can we trust this guy or should we read between the lines?
That's a great
Do you
way.
remember Mike Tomlin? Taylor might remember a couple years ago. I remember it was an early December game a few years back, and James Conner was with them.
Mm-hmm.
And they played the Chargers early December.
Yep.
And we said at Pro Football Doc, there was no Sports Injury Central at the time.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah,
that's a high ankle sprain.
Yep.
And Mike Tomlin said, it's a bruise. He got kicked.
Yep.
It's a bruise. And he missed the next 3 weeks with a high ankle sprain.
Yep.
So look, he's doing his job. It's fine. No one's hating on him. I mean, it's the spin. That's what it is. And look, if coaches didn't spin, maybe nobody cares about what we say, right? I mean, so
that's true.
That's part of our job. Anyways, hopefully everyone who hears this can hear the tone that I'm doing. I'm not hating on anyone. It's just in good fun. And that's just what happens. Almost every coach does it to some degree, some more than others. It is what it is.
It's detective work, right? It's fun.
It factors in the analysis. That's part of the checklist. What he said, how he said it. What
for sure?
Exact video from the press conference.
And that's why I was telling you guys, you got to get to the panel of doctors, the correct information, not the beat reporters picked out one line quotation, the actual context.
Don't play phone call. Get the actual phone call
of it all. I remember Mitch Trubisky, now Steelers, but Bears at the time, the Bears head coach specifically saying Mitch Trubisky will be fine for the Thanksgiving game. We had to list him with a throwing shoulder injury because this is Monday before Thanksgiving.
I remember this, yeah.
And he specifically said he stayed in the game after it happened. Mm-hmm. It was, who's the Viking safety? Harrison Smith.
Yep.
Hit him, and he was fine. He stayed in the game in the fourth quarter. He had named the hit. So this was on Monday, the press conference. And I remember on Tuesday morning, going to look at the video, and I went, he subluxed his shoulder.
You're like, he's not playing.
Yep. Right. Right. And if you look it up, he did not, and I won't say names, but major insider reporters, the two biggest ones both said, it's fine. He can play. He's playing. Yep. And we're like, he's not playing. And on Thursday, the Thanksgiving game, he did not play. And then came reports because it was a short week.
Yep.
And we came back and said, no, he's not playing next week either. Yep. He missed next week as well. Yep. And the best part, if you remember this, is Chase Daniel. He's in San Diego a lot. Anyways, his wife did a piece, and I don't think she realized she was spilling the beans. But this was Chase Daniel's first game starting ever. And the line moved and whatever. The Bears still won, blah, 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 whatever. But she said, she was asked, well, how was it to have a first start for your husband? He's been a career backup. She goes, it was a chaotic week. I was getting ready to host the family over for Thanksgiving and have them come into town. And I got a call from Chase on Monday saying, pack your bags. You're going to Detroit. I'm starting the game. This was on Monday.
Yep, I remember that.
She said that. So it's fine. It's just what coach speak is.
A small nugget on that. I remember when we were doing that, I was playing, obviously, fantasy football, and someone offered me Allen Robinson. I remember I was for the trade on Sunday, but when I was working with you, I didn't accept the trade on Monday. And I remember he's like, why didn't you accept it? I was like, just wait. And when you and me found out about the shoulder, I denied the trade. And he was just like, that's messed up. I'm like, I knew something. I'm sorry. But I always remember that injury because that was the using my information.
Well, that was the reason why I remember the injury. At the time, I was writing for the San Diego Union Tribune. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was starting clinic on Tuesday, and I submitted the article, and it got published as I was starting clinic. Mm-hmm. And I checked the line an hour later, and the line had moved across 3.
Yep.
It was 3.5, and it went to 2.5.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, and on a Tuesday afternoon,
what else is moving?
Shouldn't be moving,
right?
Yes.
I mean, so that was the first clue that there's something to this. But anyways, more topics, enough
For sure.
reminiscing.
Well, it kind of goes hand in hand because hiding behind health goes across sports too. I mean, big story of baseball right now is Jordan Alvarez. He said his hand's still bothering him. He's got 4 extra base hits in the last 100 plate appearances. His last home run was August 10th.
Jordan Alvarez is a great player, great hitter. And remember all the grief that we got, like, oh, he hit a home run the day after All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
And what's he done? I mean, his hand is bothering him still. He's admitted it. We still think, the Pro Baseball Docs, that it's a hook of the hamate issue. There's no confirmation of that. But that's what would linger. And this is what we said. Okay, time will tell, right? In retrospect, during the All-Star break, if it was a hamate, aren't you better taking it out? And now having Alvarez, he'd be 100% by now.
Yeah, there's another one that had a shortstop,
Wander Franco. Yep.
Yeah.
And he's
hit a
100%.
little setback, but he's still up with the team
Versus
now.
linger these last 6 weeks, right?
They got the 3rd best record in the league, or in all of baseball. They're the best record in the American League right now. So
they had time to.
They're 11 and a half games up in the West. Why let it linger till now? Basically,
hindsight is 2020,
right?
And we're still not 1,000% sure it's a hamate. It just smells that way, and that's why we said we think he's going to continue to struggle. Unfortunately, now it's too late. Now you can't do anything. Now you just got to ride it out.
Right?
Do teams do they like regret like doing this? Should they have like set that they see now like, oh, statistically he's not doing well, even though like there's reports that it could have happened?
Teams micromanage everything because they're just looking at all the fine point details.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe the team said do it, and Alvarez said I don't want to. You never know.
Like you said, surgery is a 3-part decision. It's the GM, it's the player, it's the team.
Yeah. So who knows? It's not about assigning blame, but it's just making observations on our end.
Yeah. Well, it's good to Beast of the Week. We got there's been a lot of mascot action.
I can't wait. Show us what you got.
There's the Ravens mascot that got hurt mid-game. You tweeted on that, dog. It's hard to tell with the bulky suit, but I like any mascot action.
I was surprised at how much play that got. Look, I don't know. I try and have fun, but I mean, we're not trying to look. The poor mascot, assuming they were hurt, and they probably were, right? I mean, as opposed to part of the bit,
right?
I don't think they're out there. I mean, like we're doing college now because there's NIL. You're getting paid, right? And pro athletes are getting paid. I think it's fair. I don't know. I just felt bad for the poor Raven, and so I just said, like, I'm not a vet. Do birds have ACLs?
I did fact check for you. I texted you at like 3 a.m. the next day. They do not have ACLs.
Yeah,
I was looking it up. I just to make sure you're good. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry you got hurt there, but I don't know. I don't think we can do that. No, you got more mascot stuff?
Yeah, the Beast of the Week candidate, Blooper from the Braves. He's the Braves mascot. He was playing. I don't even know what kind of game this was, but
it was his game.
Blooper took over. That's for sure. He gets a handoff going to the left. He stiff arms a kid. He's shaking him off as they're trying to grab his legs. He's showing no mercy. So, was that pre-talked about before? Was he just like?
I don't know. I mean, look, we talked about was the Kingfish guy, AJ Dillon, getting run over, and the mascot said I wasn't prepared for that.
Right.
At least that's a grown man. I mean,
these
have you
kids
no
ain't prepared.
shame? The kids are like 7 or something. I don't even know how old they are.
They were like
right?
pee-wee ball, yeah,
6.
Definitely.
I mean, and you're stiff arming them like. I don't know. I mean,
there's no shame for me. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Look, if Blooper better keep his head on a swivel when he's out of the thing, or no one knows who he is.
Yeah.
Mom or dad might be a little upset at that.
Yeah, no more kids events for Blooper for sure. Yeah, but
I mean, I don't know that I can award a Beast of the Week for that. I mean, that's just picking on kids.
Yeah.
You would do that?
Yeah, I was scoring a touchdown every time. Yeah, because I don't know how to hold back. I guess like sports wise and competitiveness.
You're trying way too hard in PE and
I was just playing cornhole in my neighborhood the other day, and like they got mad at me. So I feel like I definitely I wouldn't mind doing that. Yeah, it's a touchdown. It's a touchdown.
I don't know.
Was it like the Scott Frost thing, right? Like, are they enjoying the puking on the field? Like, are these kids enjoying getting tackled like that? Like,
we had a friend move back to town, and he's I won't say who, but he's a professional athlete,
right?
And he played Davis at ping pong, and Davis beat him. Davis is 9, legit beat him.
Yeah.
And then he wanted a rematch, and then he beat Davis, and then they had a.
Rubber match.
Yeah. And in the end, I was like, Davis, you beat a professional athlete. Of course, the guy said former professional athlete, but whatever.
Trying to play it down. Yeah.
I said, look, Davis probably got an advantage because his head's like right here at the table level, right? I mean, he's not,
It's true.
whatever.
I didn't think of that. Yeah.
But in any case, Davis about to win, but then lost. And Davis was mad. I was like, dude, you're 9. Why are you mad? No, I cannot beat up on a kid. First of all, I'd be sleeping on the couch or in the garage.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Why are you like, no, I couldn't run over a kid. I couldn't. I would let him win. And look, at this point, I've been shooting some hoops with Davis. I think he can start to legitimately beat me.
That's good.
Oh, that's a big.
That's when you start trying harder.
Age, yeah.
That's when you start trying harder, though.
Yeah, I mean,
my dad didn't do it. My dad would literally use his body to back me in the posts when I was like 8.
Yeah.
Like, I guess
I don't know. When I play catch with him now, I'm throwing left-handed because my right shoulder hurts.
Yeah,
I can't throw.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's passing me, but I'm old. But no, I can't award a Beast of the Week to
I got you.
mascots that knock kids down. I mean, nah.
Can we do Brian Robinson for staying positive through us all and just keeping people updated? I mean, he doesn't have to do any of that, but I think
that's good. And yeah, and like I said, I don't think it's career ending. I think he'll be back. And he's the luckiest unlucky person in the world, right? So I like that. We'll make it Brian Robinson rather than Blooper, who
for sure.
Yeah.
Taylor, don't. I mean, remind me not to let you play with Davis and other people.
I was just over there last couple weeks. I was fine. I thought we just didn't do anything competitive, really. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for watching and listening. Rich Gannon, looking forward to working with him all season. We'll have lots of his content. And draft time, use the toolkit. And also, there's a 50-plus page preseason team preview. And next week, no more guests. We'll start talking some wagering, some totals, some prop bets. And
college football starting as well.
College football starting. And by the way, good job, guys, on taking Northwestern and suggesting that. But could you hook people up with a plus 350 money line?
Outright.
You took the plus 13 and a half.
They were sweating the whole time. They're up 28-17, Nebraska was. So
yeah, but hey, in the end, I mean, these guys are saying, look, we got the right pick, our first official pick, and it's good. It's like, yeah, but get the money line.
You left the money on the board, though, for sure.
I'll take super safe over money any day.
I'm just kidding. I don't even bet. I'm in California. Anyways, all right, guys, thanks for watching and listening. And here comes week 1.